What's going on, everybody? This is your man, the bearded ninja of gaming, coming at you with a Destiny walkthrough of the Black Garden. This was suggested to me and requested by my nephew Morale. I want to give a shout out to him. I do apologize it took me so long. I've just been kind of busy this week, but let's get into it. I chose a little bit higher difficulty because I wanted a bit of a challenge. And it came to bite me in the butt a few times because I ended up dying at least 3 or 4 times. And I'm not going to lie to you guys and say, oh, I made purposeful mistakes to show you guys, hey, this is what you don't want to do in these certain situations. No, they were legitimately me getting maybe a little too brazen and running to my death. So that is what happened there. So here we go, we're landing on the planet. I mean, there's really not much to say. I'm gonna, again, apologize for the video quality if I haven't already, because I don't know what happened. If you guys can tell me how to fix it, definitely sound off in the comments, because I want to bring you guys the best quality videos. As you can tell, I am an expert Sparrow driver. Don't judge me. Now, I'm picking a fight with this guy because I think I was just like, you are shooting at me. You are shooting at me? How dare you shoot at me? So yeah, I'm not going to get into a lot of fights though, I don't believe. I'm really just trying to make this as quick as possible. Also though, picking some fights because, hey, I need some XP so I can upgrade my guns. I've got the materials. I just really need the material. Or, sorry, the experience, so I need to earn those upgrades. So I just kind of come in here and I'm fighting right now. You're fighting the Cabal, but what you're doing is you're heading for the Black Garden, which is an area that is controlled by the Vex. Now, the Vex, I find it very interesting because it's like they can teleport pretty much anywhere in the universe. But for some reason, I don't know. There might be something in the lore that I missed. Somebody can go ahead and tell me if they know, but I guess for some reason they can't teleport to Earth. But there's this Black Garden that is supposed to be, I think, some kind of like seat of their power. But yeah, and to kind of give you guys an idea, I am playing as a level 23, as you saw, Exo Warlock. I liked the Exo race. I thought it was kind of cool. I liked the customization options. Not that there's a lot of customization options for really any of the races. And I got lucky. I did kind of enter into an area where a public event was happening. And guys, this is my first tip when playing Destiny. If you are doing a mission, I don't care what you're doing. If you see public event, is about to start, take the time and join that public event, because you are most likely not going to be alone. So it's not like you're going to be flying solo and having to deal with some crazy tough enemy on your own. And it's just a good way to get experience and get you some stuff once you get back to the tower that can help you get that higher level gear. So I did that, and then I kind of got into some scuffles with some Cabal. Now, I like the Cabal enemy because they're very, almost with their, especially their phalanx units, they're very Spartanish because they hide behind that shield. They're big, they're bulky. They're almost like the best war machine ever. And I mean, really, the Vex are difficult, and obviously they kill me quite a few times in this mission, as you will later see. But really, when I look at the enemies that I'm facing, the factions, you have the Hive, the Fallen, the Vex, and the Cabal. I really worry more about the Cabal because they're definitely a militaristic race. They are big, they're hulking, and that, makes them maybe easier targets, but they're also just, you've got to know how to approach them, because if you don't, boy oh boy are you in trouble. And as you can see, I am trying to get through the world as quickly as possible, which is why I get on my Sparrow quite often. But yeah, as far as like the combat though in Destiny, I do like the combat. It feels good. It's satisfying. The one thing I will definitely say about it is this. The random number generator sometimes just comes and bites you in the butt, man. You know, because you're like, I'm trying to advance, man. I'm trying to advance. Oh, you're trying to advance, and I understand that you're trying to advance because you're, using, going to high level missions and all that. Well, we're not going to give you what you need. And it's like, that stinks, And as you could tell there a few seconds ago, I am a grenade throwing expert as I threw a grenade right into a wall, But I do like the abilities. I believe that, if you're going to play solo, Warlock and Hunter are really the way to go because the Titan, my favorite ability of the Titan is the bubble shield ability. But I mean, the higher level abilities for that really aren't cool unless you have a party. If you're running with somebody, then yeah, Titan is great because let's say you're just going, and right there I'm showing off. But anyway, as I was saying, as the Titan, you have that bubble ability, and then your party can be like, hey man, I'm low on health. Boom, you throw that sucker up, and you heal them. They run in there, it heals them up, and later on you can increase either their weapon damage or you're going to increase some damage to them. And so there we go. I've entered into the Black Garden. It's very interesting because I was like, man, I wonder, can you damage these guys? I wanted to reload because one thing you want to do is make sure you never go into a fight without like a full clip, if possible. Especially, and like I understand, like if you're in the middle of a battle, you don't want to reload because just in case, what if something comes around the corner? I want to be able to put rounds on target immediately. So here we run into the first bit of Vex. Now, I wouldn't call myself a master strategist. I use the abilities as they cool down. Sometimes I don't always use them because I understand, hey, rushing up to this guy is probably not the best idea. But at the end of the day, I'm not above just charging in and being like, pat! Because, I have a special ability. And who knows, maybe that turns the tide of the battle. Sometimes, I won't lie, guys, you gotta take risks. If you're not willing to take those risks, well, you're gonna fail. Because sometimes, as the saying goes, fortune favors the bold. Now, I wouldn't say go and make stupid risks where it's like, oh, you see 2 or 3 yellow health bar enemies, because yellow health bar enemies, one thing I learned really quickly with playing with a buddy of mine a week or 2 ago, the yellow bar enemies, it doesn't matter if they're level 1 and you're level 20. They're going to take a lot of damage, and they're going to pose a threat to everybody, not just the low-level guys. So that is one of those things I like, because it's like, you know what, it doesn't matter what level you are. I can run with you because I may be able to blow through those regular enemies, but those yellow health bar enemies, I don't know if there's like a hierarchy or somebody knows what those yellow bar enemies are called. Maybe they're captains, who knows, but then there's an enemy from the Fallen that is literally called the captain, so that would seem like a very confusing terminology to use. And there you see my first of many deaths. I couldn't find somewhere to really get down, or maybe I just was a little too brazen, because this shotgun, it's a legendary shotgun. It's my first legendary weapon, and when you're packing a legendary weapon, there are going to be times where you're like, I can take on anybody with this weapon. And I mean, this weapon it's very powerful. And the other thing I'm going to tell you guys, don't be afraid. Sometimes I didn't do what was best, but I definitely have learned through my play. If you have a shotgun and then an assault rifle, don't be afraid if you just can't get close enough to an enemy to melee them or to get into really good shotgun range, do not be afraid and do not hesitate to switch your weapon, because the moment you're like, no, I'm going to use this shotgun until I am out of ammunition, that is when you're going to die a lot. When you're just so connected, like, this is the weapon I've got to use. You got to be willing to switch between your primary, your secondary, your special weapon, because sometimes, man, situations call for it. You know, maybe you're, oh man, but what if there's an enemy that, you know, I need this for later? Well, you know what? That may be true, but if you're having issues and you know that your max, you know, the damage your special weapon or your, yeah, right? Your special weapon. That's what they call the purple one, right? Or is that your exotic? No. This exotic's a level of weapon. I apologize. I don't play Destiny enough to really get deep into the lore. It's one of those games, because it's very MMO-y. I don't have enough friends. You know, so here I am. I'm fighting this guy, and, you know, this is what I'm talking about. I'm so bound and determined to use that shotgun that I ran in, and I was fighting an enemy who does massive amounts of damage. And he has pretty good range. I mean, if he can see you, he has a giant, you know, he's essentially a giant turret. And it got me killed because I wasn't thinking, man, maybe I should use a gun that gives me a little bit more range. So, you know, you always gotta be willing to kind of switch it up. I mean, I understand if maybe like one of your weapons is completely out of ammunition. That's a whole, that's a bird of a whole nother color. But if every one of your guns has even 5 bullets, if that is the best gun for the job, use those 5 bullets to their most effect. Because who knows, maybe by killing that enemy and then going over to where they're at, maybe you get some more, and then hey, that helps you down the road. You never know what kind of ammunition is going to drop. Always, though, be willing to empty any weapon. It doesn't matter. Like, really, I've never come to a point, though, I've noticed where the primary weapon is completely out. I've come to points where my special weapon is out, and my secondary weapon is out. I've come to points where my special weapon is out. But maybe it's special weapon, heavy weapon. Yeah, because it's always like a LMG or a rocket launcher. So never be afraid to use those, guys. That's my point to this. Never, ever be afraid to use it, because, you know, yeah, there may be an enemy, you know, down the line. Man, this would have been easier if I'd have saved that ammunition. Well, guess what? You're probably right, but guess what? You're not going to get there if you're dead. If you don't kill what's in front of you. Always, like, think about what could be coming, but at the end of the day, if it comes between emptying your heavy weapons, ammunition, cache, versus dying, empty your heavy weapons ammunition cache, because trust me, you're not getting anywhere by dying over and over and slamming your head into a wall. And the other thing, you know, I always try to do is I will go crazy. I will go into kamikaze mode up until I get to the point where I'm at the red line. At that point, I become very defensive. I kind of try to back off and be like, hey, you know, let the enemies come to me. I'm going to be very careful. I'm going to be very selective with my shots, because I understand, man, when you're down in that red, bad things are going to happen. Now, does that mean that in this video, you're going to see me being very careful, very methodical, and not just charging in with reckless abandon with like a samurai, as I've come to call it. Thank you to the guys at the comedy button for instilling that word and that way of saying it. Amen to me. But anyway, you know, that mentality of I am going to go up against this foe, and if it beats me, so be it. Yeah, but guess what? I needed those lessons to be like, hey, maybe you need to be a little more careful because nobody wants to be stuck on the same boss fight for like 50 minutes. You know what I mean? This is I think about a 40-minute mission, and I mean I come up against a lot of challenges. And guys, the thing also that you need to remember is don't ever be afraid to use your grenades, because the thing I love about the grenades in this game is it's not a commodity like ammunition. You know what I mean? It's an ability. So you have to wait for it to cool down to throw it again, but it's not like, oh man, I've got 3 grenades. I really want to be careful and be selective and only use them when necessary. No, this is something that cools down, and I think every class really has an ability that increases that cooldown if you do certain things. So always be willing to use them, because a lot of their grenades, I think every class has a grenade that essentially does area of effect damage, because you gotta always kind of do an area of denial. And there also, right there, leads me to another lesson you've always got to kind of keep in mind when playing really any first-person shooter, and that is be aware of your surroundings. Now, it's obviously easier to be aware of your surroundings when you have a teammate, because if me and any of my buddies, whether it be some of my buddies on Xbox, Mr. Jofi, my buddy John, or one of my buddies on PlayStation, Tankalicious, or even my nephew, it's easier to be aware of your surroundings because you have an extra set of eyes. So it's like, oh man, hey, there's a guy behind you. But 9 times out of 10, a good partner isn't going to go, hey, there's a guy behind you, and wait for you to turn around and take him out. If they see them, a good co-op partner is going to put rounds on target. They're not going to play around. They might be like, there's a guy behind you, because 2 guys putting bullets into somebody is a lot more deadly than 1 guy putting rounds on a target. Because who knows? Because of how close you are to that enemy, maybe that enemy kills you because, oh man, it was just so close. So if you do play this game co-op, try to be a good partner. If you see somebody kind of behind an ally, take them. Take shots at them. Don't just be like, hey, there's a guy behind you, and then go back about your business. No, put rounds on target, and while you're putting rounds on target, say, hey, there's a guy behind you, because then your teammate is going to turn around, and you're going to start, doing more damage, and it's going to be a good team. Because that is something that I feel a lot of online games really lack today, is communication. That's why I generally try to play with people I know, because I know they've got a headset, I've got a headset. We have a means of communicating with one another. So communication is always important, because communication is key in teamwork. So always think about that. I've really barely gotten to play any of this co-op with somebody. I would love to play co-op with somebody, like all the way through. I know you really can't do the intro as a fire team, but from after the intro on, I would love to really just get like a couple of my friends, maybe my nephew and a buddy of mine, and be like, hey, let's all play Destiny. Let's run through the story. Let's, because think about it. The thing I love is that, most of the strikes, they only require 3 people. I would love to play with 2 other people, because it's like, okay, you like the Warlock, right? Yeah, okay, well, you like the Hunter, right? Yeah, okay. I'll be the Titan, because I'll honestly play as any character. I don't care. You know what I mean? And I also feel like sometimes in strikes, it's really boring. And it stinks when, you get grouped up with random people, and it's like, oh, hey, If you're teamed up with a warlock and a warlock, oh geez, we're not, because I feel like, maybe the missions would be more exciting, or maybe there'd be kind of like cool combat scenarios if not everybody was running the same class, So I would, if anybody out there wants to, with a headset, I am not going to get into a game and not have a headset, not have somebody communicating. A headset is, I'm sorry, if you're going to be playing co-op and you don't have a headset, maybe you need to make the investment in a headset. Because, guys, I know it's different for Xbox One and Xbox 360, but I mean, for PlayStation, which is what I'm playing this on, you literally just need a pair of headphones with a microphone. You get that pair of headphones with a microphone, and guess what? You can communicate with people. And those are $20. Literally $20. And there you see I got taken down because, again, I kind of thrust myself into a situation that I really shouldn't have been in. I should have the moment I started seeing really heavy fire, I should have maybe backed off. And here you see, I'm like, man, I wonder how my abilities are running. I want to see, I'm looking at my abilities here. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to use the Vortex Mastery. I'm going to switch to the Axiom Bolts, try those out. I really don't do that stuff very often. I don't, use the different grenades. I like the Vortex a lot. But at the same time, I see the awesome uses for the different types of grenades. And I'm always willing to experiment because, hey, maybe, the Vortex is great for this scenario, but not so great for this scenario. Which is one of the things that, because when I try to talk to people about what is Destiny, I always say it's like Halo. Now, I get it, the story's different, the guns and all that. I'm not getting into that. It's got the great gunfire gameplay of Halo with a very cool Borderlands-y style, but I feel it does something so well because, Borderlands, if you wanted to reset your abilities or change what abilities you were using, you'd literally have to go and you'd have to reset your skill points and then do it. Whereas here, you can do it on the fly. Like, oh man, this situation really calls for the Axiom Bolt grenades. I can switch to the Axiom Bolt, and then I can literally change the way my class plays a little bit on the fly. Now granted, I need someone to watch my back, or I need to be in an area where there are no enemies, because if I do not, enemies are still going to kill me. And that is one of the things, like I understand if I'm running with a fire team to be like, hey, no pauses, you're not going to stop the enemy. But it's like, man, if I am running this campaign, I have nobody on my fire team, let me pause, because I'm not with anybody. Nobody, like, okay, somebody else might be running this mission at the same time I am, but guess what? They're not interacting with my play or mine, because mine is now a specially sectioned off cordon of the world. It's essentially almost like its own parallel universe, because me and that other person aren't on a fire team. So me pausing my universe, if you want to call it that, doesn't matter, because I'm by myself. I'm not forcing anybody to wait on me while I change abilities. So that's the other thing I think Destiny could do better. But I feel like the gameplay is very, very solid. I wish the story was maybe a bit more engaging, because like I said, I don't really know a lot about lore. And guys, I am a lore guy. I mean, I love the Dragon Age lore. I actually, in one of my videos that I'm doing, because I'm doing a look back series on the Dragon Age series, a series of series, I'm doing a group of videos, called a look back, and I'm looking back at the Dragon Age series. So I'm going back and I'm playing through them and I'm talking about them. In my last video that I put up of that, I literally, I think, spent about a good 5 to 10 minutes talking about the efficacy of the Ride of Tranquility. It's like, think about that. I am so invested in the lore of this world that I am willing to sit there and talk to people about the efficacy of the Ride of Tranquility. And it's not a real thing within my world, the world you and I live in, but within the Dragon Age universe, the Ride of Tranquility is a very real thing. And because the lore and that world and the story is done so well in all of those games, I am very much willing to be like, oh man, I don't know. I mean, the Ride of Tranquility, I get it, because maybe there's no better way. I mean, it's either make them tranquil and let them live out their lives. It's almost like a hollow, emotionless shell of a person, or kill them. And that sucks too. So here we are, just deploying that, trying to get into I think I call it the Inner Sanctum. Maybe they call it the Inner Sanctum as well, but I don't care what the game calls it. And this, I love this part. Just doing this thing, like, oh, what's going on? Because I thought maybe I lost it. Like, where'd it go? And then all of a sudden it becomes like a door, and I'm like, hello. Floating door. And then the little circle pops out and turns that thing into shards. Light up. It connects to there. It's pretty cool. It's very beautiful. Then it kind of hits this door and it activates it. So now I'm being given access to, the inner sanctum of the Vex, and then here you see this, and it's almost like I got this feeling, and people who've gone to church and done this before know it's like kind of going into church late and going in when it's quiet and arriving. Like everybody turns and is like, "You are late," but that's not what you're really talking about. So you see them and they all kind of turn and they're like, "Who are you?" Oh,
don't think I have a choice.
Maybe we should have made a more inconspicuous entrance. Could we have just blown the door up? I think that would have been a little more inconspicuous. No one would have known. And then, boom, this is where like the final boss fight kicks in. And guys, I'm going to tell you, this takes a while because there's 3 of them and I die a few times. But luckily, that's the save point right there. And again, I do apologize. I didn't realize the quality was so bad. But yeah, you gotta really, in this instance, movement is your best friend. I again apologize for the quality. I don't know what was happening. I use these settings on my 360 and on my Xbox One when I do capture, and that stuff captures just fine. Maybe it's just the PS4. I don't know. I do apologize to you guys. But yeah, I mean, here, literally, one of the things I would say is keep moving. Because if you're moving, it's really hard for the enemy to pin you down. And man, it is really like messing up. I do apologize for this. The video quality is just absolutely atrocious. But yeah, and then they bring this statue to life, and again, like I said, movement is gonna be your best friend, because if you have to find a place to hide to gain your health back, but really just try to keep moving, guys, because if you stop for too long, that's when enemies will start kind of converging upon you, and then you're beset on all sides. Whereas if you're moving, maybe this enemy's like, oh, he's over there, I'm gonna go get him, and the other one's like, okay, I'm gonna wait, and then I'm gonna flank around, and then all of a sudden, boom, 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 the guy who doesn't expect you to be right around the corner because he's coming for you and you're coming for him, he's like, oh god, oh my god, he just came around, and then bam, you've now got the enemy off guard. You now have the advantage. You never want the enemy to dictate how you encounter them. You want to dictate how you encounter them. You want to choose, where am I coming at them from? Where do they expect me to come at them from? And that's why I kind of like shift around. I don't always like go back to shoot the big robots. I don't really go to the same place, because I feel like at that point they're kind of expecting that. Yeah, and again, I really don't. I have no idea what is going on here, guys. My video quality is so bad. I feel bad. You know, I want to bring to you guys best quality. So maybe I'll look it up again, see if there's maybe something I can do about that. Because, I mean, I watched it while I was capturing, and I mean, I saw it here and there, but I never saw it this bad. So I do apologize for the really bad quality. I apologize for that. But I just wanted to get this out for you guys. And really, I mean, I just want to let you guys know you want to be very careful with these big bosses, because they take a ton of damage. They are bullet sponges, guys. I mean, that's really all I've got to say, so I'm just gonna say this. Thank you for watching the video. If you like the video, give it a like. If you don't, give it a thumbs down. I understand. Quality is not that impressive. I am very, very sorry. There's nothing I could do about it. I couldn't figure out how to make it better. But yeah, if you like the stuff I'm doing, go ahead, follow me on Facebook. My webpage is Bearded Ninja Gaming. Follow me on Twitter at BNinjaGaming. I try to stay as active on there. I also, every now and again, I write on a blog on WordPress. My website there is www.beardedninjagaming.wordpress.com. I recently posted an article about games that I'm looking forward to in 2015. And it's really weird because there's really not a lot of games with solid release dates that I'm looking forward to. I mean, Batman Arkham Knight I'm looking forward to. But really, like, the two games that come immediately to mind that, you know, aren't already out at the time of this recording that I'm excited for are the Borderlands, the Handsome Collection, and also Devil May Cry, the Definitive Edition. So I'm gonna go ahead, just let this video play out. Hope you guys enjoy. So enjoy the rest of it. Take it easy, guys.
The heart is dying. Keep fighting them.
We're back. On Mars. The shroud of darkness is lifting, and light returns to the traveler. The speaker is calling us home.